Subscribe to Teckoh on YouTube or you will forever be a bot at Fortnite.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So, in Fortnite, pretty much every single fight turns into a close-range shotgun battle. Whether you're in early game, mid game, or end game, one of the most important skills to have is the ability to outplay your opponent in close range. And with that said, having good shotgun aim is one of the most crucial skills to consistently win these types of fights. So in this video, I'll be going over all of the tricks and all the methods you'll need to start hitting those crisp, max damage shots every single time. From simple tips and tricks you can do to hit more shots, to some fundamentals you need to master to become more consistent, along with the most effective ways to practice and improve your shotgun aim. Overall, if your shotgun aim is struggling, then this video is perfect for you. Real quick, I'd like to also mention that I'm going to start posting on my second channel really soon, and I'm going to be doing mostly general gaming videos. I'm not sure if a lot of it's going to be Fortnite or other games or whatever. So if you want some fun stuff to watch, be sure to check it out. I'll put the link at the top of the description. But with that said, let's get straight into the video. The first tip in this video actually has multiple sort of sub-tips, basically meaning multiple tips in one, and this tip is to track your opponent to line up your shot. For most of us, when we're about to shoot our opponent with a shotgun, we pretty much just instinctively aim at them and click on them, right? See, the difference between top aimers and average aimers is that high-level aimers tend to treat their aim as more of a conscious action than something you simply do. What I mean by tracking your opponent is to take your time when shooting, and instead of simply blasting a shot the instant you see your opponent and hitting them for 30, take the time to actually properly track them and line up a shot to hit higher damage. This trick, which I often refer to as conscious aiming, is the most effective way to consistently hit high damage shots regardless of how precise your actual aim is. Obviously, if your general aim is better, you'll see even more success with this trick, but it still helps regardless. It's important to note that by tracking your opponent, I pretty much mean that you should try to keep your crosshair very close to your opponent, then make that final adjustment when you're ready to get the shot off, allowing you to hit one of those super high damage shots. You're essentially just following your opponent with your crosshair and waiting for the opportunity to get the shot off for maximum damage instead of rushing it and then wondering why you hit them for 30. One of the best ways to practice this is by doing an aim duel. Most of us have already heard about aim duels 1,000 times, but if you haven't, it's basically a form of 1v1 where you and your opponent are dropped into a box together with a ton of HP and you simply shoot one another until one of you dies. I strongly recommend aim duels to practice this tip and to see how much difference it actually makes. I'll put the code up on screen for one of my personal favorite aim duel maps. Feel free to head in there with a friend and give it a shot. The next tip I want to go over is one of the tips that makes a huge difference, especially in box fights, and that's to edit into your shots. Now, this isn't the type of tip that you can start doing and see instant improvement, but it's more of a habit that'll end up making you way better once you actually get good at it and get used to it. What I mean by editing into a shot is basically editing in a way that sets up your crosshair in a position close to your opponent, so you have to move your crosshair less to actually get it on your opponent's head. And basically this sets you up to have an easier time getting a shot off. This whole tip lies in the way you actually edit your structures. Instead of doing a generic editing pattern, then having to move your crosshair further to reach your opponent, you can simply edit in a way that puts your crosshair close to or even directly on your opponent already. For example, let's say my opponent is on the right hand side of my wall and I'm going to do a peanut butter edit. To do this trick in this situation, I'd simply start my triangle edit on the top middle tile and drag it down to the middle right tile, confirm it, then my crosshair is close to my opponent, making it easier for me to hit them. On the other hand, if I did this from the middle right tile to the middle top tile, basically the opposite, then my crosshair would end up near the top and I'd have to move it way further to actually hit my opponent, which would make me way less accurate. So, essentially, edit your tiles in a way that puts your crosshair in a good position to shoot your opponent. This is a surprisingly difficult tip to put into practice, because it basically just requires you to do it in the moment. Sure, you can practice some of these editing patterns in creative, but all things considered, it's just something that you'll have to figure it out when you're actually in a fight. But with that said, I'd recommend practicing this in a closed-in box fight map, like the Clicks map or anything like that, and focusing completely on editing into your shots during your fights. Next up is a quick tip that I really don't see enough players using, and that's utilizing your ADS or aim down sight mechanic. Now, this has multiple benefits. People seem to think that the only benefit of ADSing is that it makes you more accurate, which is true in a way, but that's not the only reason why. In reality, it's much more than that. It is true that it technically makes your shot more accurate, but another huge benefit is the fact that you'll pretty much always deal way more damage when ADSing, because your shotgun spread decreases by a ton. Now, ADSing isn't going to instantly turn your 30 damage shot into a max damage shot, it just doesn't work like that, but it can easily turn a 120 damage shot into a 160 damage shot, or a 30 damage shot into a 100 damage shot, etc, etc. Because all ADSing really does is make your reticle and your bullet spread smaller, so your shot goes straight toward where you're looking instead of going in a large cone pattern like it usually does. With that said, I don't really want to spend too much time on this ADS topic since it's a decently known one at this point, but I'd like you all to take away that when your opponent isn't directly in your face and there's a bit of distance between you, make sure to ADS because it'll help you hit for way more damage compared to simply clicking on them. But anyway guys, with all those tips covered, the last topic I want to cover in this video is the most effective ways to practice your shotgun aim in Fortnite. Now, the first thing I want to cover is actually for Kovacs, which is only for mouse and keyboard players on PC, but if you play on controller or another platform, be sure to stick around because I have some stuff for you as well. Now, to start, I don't care what anybody says, personally I think that Kovacs and other external aim trainers are the best ways to practice your aim in Fortnite, especially when you're talking about shotguns. The reason being is that they have zero bloom, zero RNG, basically nothing that'll hinder your practice or efficiency in any way. So basically what I'm going to be doing is quickly going over a few scenarios that I find help my shotgun aim, and also some scenarios that I've seen aim coaches and top level players include in their routines for shotgun aim related reasons. The first scenario that I like to use for shotgun aim is called 1 wall 5 targets _ PASU, and this scenario is one of my favorites for precision and also tracking your opponent into a shot. What you'll want to do in this scenario is take your time, track a certain target, and then micro adjust to hit it, and repeat this process over and over. This scenario is definitely on the more difficult side, but it's definitely worth doing no matter what your skill level is. Second up, we've got 1 wall 9,000 targets, which is basically all about those small precise movements that you make to hit your target. This is one of the best scenarios for precision in my opinion, and honestly this also helps a ton with your AR aim as well as being amazing for shotguns. Next up we've got 6 tile Jumbo Frenzy, which is one of the absolute best Kovacs scenarios for close range shotgun aim. This basically requires you to move between a bunch of large targets very quickly. It doesn't require much precision, but instead it requires fast movements and very fast clicking as well. So this is a good alternative to the precision based stuff you'll find in most scenarios, and it really helps you to become a more well-rounded aimer. Fourth, we've got a very well-rounded and pretty simple scenario called 1 wall 1 target. As the name implies, this scenario literally involves one wall containing one target. This scenario involves precision, reaction time, and speed, making it easily one of the most well-rounded scenarios for perfecting your shotgun aim. With that said, I strongly recommend implementing this into your Kovacs routine. Anyway guys, there are a few more Kovacs scenarios I'd like to cover, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to list them on screen if you'd like to check them out. The other shotgun scenarios I like include Bounce 180, Tile Frenzy 180 Strafing, 1 wall 6 targets TE, Jumbo 1 wall 6 targets TE, and 2 tile Jumbo Tile Frenzy. But with that said, the other method to improve your shotgun aim, which is relevant for all platforms, is aim duels. Seriously, aim duels are so underrated and they're insanely helpful for improving every single aspect of your aim, especially shotgun aim since they're in such close range. Most of you already know how these work. You and a friend basically drop into a box, both with super high health, usually 2000, and shoot each other until one of you goes down, rinse and repeat. I'll put the code up on screen right now to one of my personal favorite aim duel maps by VF Croder. This is the same map I discussed earlier in the video. I really recommend trying these out if you have friends to play them with. I know some of you have no friends. If you don't have any friends, head down to my Discord server, link in the description. You can find some people there. But anyway, with that said, you can also use in-game aim trainers as well, on top of Kovacs and aim duels, but personally, I don't think they're as effective as the first two. But if you are interested in using an in-game aim trainer, then I'll put a code up on screen to one right now, which I personally think is the best in-game aim trainer. So hopefully you can use one or multiple of these methods to improve your shotgun aim. But with that said, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I really hope you all enjoyed it and that it helps you out to get better shotgun aim. I spent a lot of time working on this video, so it would mean a lot to me if you could drop a like on it and consider subscribing as well if you'd like to see more content just like this in the future. But with that said, have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye for now.